Hey guys, it's Marriage Monday, and today is actually my 15-year anniversary. I had a different topic in mind for today, but I just can't stop thinking about my marriage and these past 15 years and everything that the Lord has done in me and in Hector and I through these past 15 years. If you're new to my channel, my name is Alana, and I would love for you to like this video and subscribe. And if you've been with me for a long time and have been blessed by my videos and would like to and are able to donate to help me continue making content, there's a link in the description box where you can do that. So for those of you that are interested in hearing my whole story, I have 2 videos that I've made in the past that share my wedding story, I called it, and my how I met my husband. So I will post those links in the description below. Feel free to check those out to hear the whole story. But I was just thinking, like, what is it, if I had to say one thing that I feel makes marriage work, for lack of a better word, it's definitely the foundation must be Christ. I mean, there's no escaping that. And there has to be two willing people that are in it for the long run, no matter what may come their way. And I think viewing each other as one instead of separate is vital, because as soon as you're separate, it is that much easier to become enemies, to be against one another. Stay united is essential, I think, to fight against the inevitable ups and downs in your personal life, in their life, in the things that naturally happen in life and in the world. And it's just, you're stronger when you're together, you know? So I was just thinking about that we've always been on the same team. Of course, there have been conflicts, individual instances throughout our marriage where we have had a conflict and we've been in opposition to one another. That's not what I mean. That doesn't last our whole marriage. Generally speaking, we are on the same team. And so I think that is vital. I also think having grace on each other has been huge, because we know that each other are going to fail each other, right? Because we know that we're not perfect. And so there must be grace. There must be grace for unmet expectations, grace for failures and hurts and disappointments, sin, and just being willing to forgive. Forgiveness. If you don't have forgiveness in your marriage, you're leaving the door wide open for bitterness and resentment to creep in. I have a funny video that's like a minute long. It was featured on Wretched Radio, Todd Friel, and it used to be my homepage video on my YouTube page. When you first log on, it's the video. I switched it just because, to change things, because it was like that for so many years. But that video is called Fighting Bitterness. I'll post the description for that too. It's intended to be funny, but also, we all do this, guys. Fix your mindset, you know? And I think that is one thing I also have been preaching from the beginning of my channel and practicing from the beginning of my marriage, is fighting bitterness. Fighting every single little time that a thought creeps in my mind, like, oh, he just doesn't care, or there we go again. Any of those kinds of thoughts ignite bitterness, and if you don't stop them, they will keep going, and they will grow and grow and grow, and before you know it, you will be bitter, you will be resentful. It will manifest in your behavior, in how you speak to your husband, how you treat your husband, how you think of your husband, how you view your husband. You might start judging his motives. You might start having no compassion for him, and the list goes on, because you're getting harder and harder and harder towards him. And that is a place you want to avoid. That is why I have always said, fight bitterness. Fight bitterness, because if you fight it, then you are nipping that road before it even starts, you know? Now, something I always tell my kids when I'm trying to encourage them to love each other and to treat each other kindly, is you can't just not treat each other bad. You can't just put a seed in the ground and walk away and don't put poison on it. You have to water and nurture to see growth. And so don't just not be mean to each other. Look for opportunities to love each other, serve each other, bless each other, so that your relationship can flourish and grow, and you can grow in love for one another and all the things that follow. When you love someone, you care about their feelings, you have compassion for them, you have grace on them, you have forgiveness for them. You have to look for ways to be selfless and bless and serve and love someone, and that softens your heart towards them. And so the same thing with marriage. You know, I remember in Disney World, not that long ago, you know, because I definitely am in the habit of speaking truth to myself, but sometimes I slip up and I find myself in this trap, and I'm like, how did I get here? What happened? You know? And I remember last September in Disney, I fell into it so deep, and it was all my doing. It was ridiculous. We were traveling with family, and so, you know, I long for one-on-one connection every night with my husband. I don't like to go a whole day without like connecting with him, and if we do go a whole day without connecting, I feel it. I feel distant. I feel like I need time with you, you know, even if it's just 10 minutes of solid interaction, undivided attention, that satisfies me, but I need that every day. And so we are traveling with family, so obviously that alone time is non-existent, and I'm starting to feel it. But that's me. That's not how he is necessarily. So he's just having a great time. To him, we are physically together, and that satisfies. I need that individual one-on-one undivided attention, and then that's what satisfies. So we took the golf cart out for a drive at night, and that was like our getaway, our date. And I had already been thinking, he's not paying attention to me, he hasn't talked to me, he hasn't made time to like sit with me alone and like talk to me, whatever. And then we get in the golf cart and we're riding, and I'm already like that in my head. So what am I doing? Waiting for him to talk. I'm gonna wait for him to converse with me and see how I'm doing. Well, guess what he did? He stayed silent the entire drive, and I was fuming. But I knew that if I said something, I would sound ridiculous, so I just stayed quiet. And then we went back to our cabin and we went to bed. And that is when it hit me. That was the first time, after all this festering, letting my brain lead me, my emotions lead me, finally when I said, wait a minute, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I felt so stupid. I was like, Lord, my husband doesn't know I feel this way because I haven't told him, number one. Number two, he is happy as can be, having a great time, relaxed, taking a vacation, his mind off of work. He just feels so at peace. And so when he stayed silent in the golf cart ride, it's because he's so comfortable with me, his wife. He's just chilling, enjoying the moment, enjoying the quiet and the solitude and the wind and the fun, unique experience of being out here together. And I have all these demands that are unsatisfied in my head, and I'm fuming by myself when he is just like, isn't this great? You know? So as soon as I realized that, I was like, I am a moron, and I am so glad I didn't say anything, because I would have ruined his night, ruined my night, ruined everything. And I said, take this away, Lord. And I could like visualize myself. I always do this, by the way. Whenever I have a worry or a concern or a burden that's just like really, really heavy, I can like visualize myself just giving it to the Lord, and I'm just like throw it to the Lord, and he takes it, and I'm relieved of it. It's amazing. So I like visualize myself just giving God my anxieties and my silly concerns, and the peace that came over me and the love and the affection for my husband that came over me was like that. And it's because I had allowed my brain to lead me, and my emotions and irrational and unmet expectations lead me, instead of truth. Replace those stupid thoughts with truth, and then function off of those things. So that's a story, and I've remembered it because I think I was a little rusty, since I had not really felt that way in a while. It caught me off guard, and I was out of the habit and the discipline and the practice of catching myself and exercising like restraint and feeding myself the truth and surrendering these thoughts. So I was out of practice, and so it caught me off guard. So that's another thing, is fighting bitterness. Nobody goes into marriage thinking, well, eventually we'll get divorced, I'm sure, you know. No one. Everyone hopes they stay married forever. And the reason they don't is because sin creeps in, inevitably, because we're all going to sin. The difference is whether you fight that sin actively every single day, mortifying it, replacing it with truth, replacing it with the ways of the Lord, living those things out, or letting sin just run its course, never address it, never confess, never forgive, never have grace, never put an end to your sinful thoughts that lead to bitterness and resentment. Like, there's no way that you're going to be bitter and resentful and never address it, never fight against it, just let it run its course and end in a transparent, loving, beautiful, godly, rich marriage. It just doesn't equal that. Lord willing, you've married a man who's on the same page, loves God, loves you, wants to honor God in his marriage, and you can both be willing together to go through this amazing adventure and journey called marriage, and do it for the glory of God, because it is not about you and your happiness and how fulfilled you are. It is about the Lord. Sharing a picture of Christ's love for the church and the church's submission to Christ to the world, so that the world can see the beautiful union that the Lord has designed between man and woman, and the foundation of the family. We have children, and raise those children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, bringing forth the next generation that will hopefully marry godly spouses and have children and bring their children up in the fear and admonition of the Lord, and so on and so on. Why are we here? To share and spread the gospel with a lost and dying world. And so marriage is much more than just being made happy and fulfilled by your spouse. It is about sharing the gospel with the world. I don't know if you guys know the movie Muppets Take Manhattan. It's one of my favorite childhood movies. And in the end, when Kermit and Piggy get married, the music to the whole movie is amazing, by the way. But in the end, they sing this soft song while they're walking down the aisle getting married. And watching it as an adult and as a believer, it's just fascinating to me how we have been indoctrinated. And I mean, it's no surprise, I know this already, but this is just one tangible example. This is one of the movies that played a role in indoctrinating the children of my generation to think that marriage is all about being made happy by your spouse. The whole song is, he'll make me happy each time I see him. He'll be the reason my heart will sing, or something. So it's all I ever need to know is that he'll make me happy. The whole song. And then she'll make me happy each time I hold her. And it's beautiful. It makes me cry. First of all, it's nostalgic from my childhood. Second of all, it's marriage, and I feel that way about my husband. But if we're not careful, we can lose the point of marriage, and we can miss the mark and put ourselves in a dangerous place doomed for failure if we forget what marriage is for. It is not for he'll make me happy. It is for the Lord. So I know that those were not necessarily the most organized thoughts, but I do think they cover the basis of what and how and why I think my marriage has been successful. And not just successful, but rich and beautiful and wonderful and the best part of my life besides knowing the Lord. Yeah, I hope this is encouraging and inspiring to you guys. God bless you guys, and see you next time.